Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tony, and I am playing Stardew Valley with my sister, Holly. And today we are going to be talking about our experiences with COVID. So, if that is triggering to you in any way, click off the video. Otherwise, here we go.
I'll be there in a second.
Okay, hello.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so we are talking about our experiences with COVID today.
Yes, indeed.
So,
Hold on.
oh, I forgot it's winter.
Sorry, I'm typing in the code.
Oh, I just watered the cat again. I always water the cat. So bad. Oh, little chicken.
The most fucked up part is that cats don't like water.
I know.
If you were watering the dog or even the chicken.
I know, but nope, I'm just over here watering a cat.
Connecting ever so slowly. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I forgot
I'm
supposed to be getting wood.
I'm connecting, but you can go first if you have anything.
Oh yeah, COVID. Okay, so in the beginning, like when COVID first became a thing, my youngest son and I went to a overnight Cub Scout trip at the Toledo Zoo. And it was really cool. We got to spend the night, stay in the aquarium, whatever. But on this trip, Lucas came down sick, like really sick. And luckily it was just one overnight and he managed to, make it through the trip and make it home. But for the next week, he was literally like bedridden. And he like didn't eat, slept downstairs on the couch so that he could be like, and like I slept downstairs with him so that we'd be like near each other the whole time. And I had taken him to the doctor because his fever went up to like 104. And the doctor said, like tested him for the flu, which he did test positive for. And then at the time told me that, the good thing was that you can't get the flu and COVID at the same time, so we knew it wasn't COVID. Well, we have since found out that that is not true. So I still to this day wonder if Luke and I didn't both get COVID back then and just not realize it, because then when we actually did get COVID later, which I'll get to in a little bit, it was very similar. Like the symptoms and everything. But it also could have just been the flu. And I mean, I've gotten the flu before, and I mean, to me, there was only one major difference. And again, I'll get to that. So then, that happened, and then the whole world shut down, and we're not going to talk about lockdown. We'll talk about that tomorrow in our next video. But after that, we pretty much got lucky, I would say, for quite a while, because the kids and I did not, like, the minute lockdown happened, we didn't leave. Like, we didn't go anywhere. The kids didn't go to school. We did nothing. Like, we never left our house, basically. Luckily, both of my jobs are from home. Well, that's not true. I did have another job that wasn't from home, but that was later on. I got that one after COVID was already, not winding down, but,
Not as insane.
As extreme, yeah. But that one was only on the weekends. Anyway, my whole point here is, after that, I really didn't, like, nobody in my family got sick. And then in October 2021, my now ex-husband came down with COVID. And thank goodness, like this is gonna sound messed up, but thank goodness my ex-husband was pretty much never home and had actually just been on like a 3 or 4 day bender, and hadn't been around us at all. And then he got home, hadn't even like came into the house or saw us at all. He, I think, just went straight to his shed. And that's when he got the text from his friend that he always spent all this time with, that he just tested positive for COVID. So he hadn't been near us at all. And thankfully, my ex-husband was considerate enough to immediately at this point stay away from us. And he did not come near us again after that. Actually didn't come near us again at that point even. But then didn't come near us again after that. And I'm gonna go get my pickaxe upgraded real quick.
Okay.
And then that way we can mine when it's done.
Yes.
But anyway, so he, I had spoken to the health department after he tested positive. And I also spoke to the people whose children I took care of, to make sure that they didn't bring their kids here. But the crazy thing was, we had a vacation planned. My ex-husband was not coming. It was just the kids and I. But I called the health department, and I explained the situation because I didn't know if we were going to be able to travel. And thankfully they told us that since we had not been anywhere near him in the 4 days before he was even exposed, and then nowhere near him, after he was exposed, we were good to still travel. So we did, and I know that it sounds really cold that we left him here with COVID, but
you've heard about the guys.
yeah,
so.
we did. And what's interesting is I had expected him to not be so considerate, but now that I know what happened while I was gone, which I will tell that, I don't think I've ever told that story, so I'll have to tell that story about what happened when we were gone on vacation and the madness that came after. But anyway, that can wait for a different time. But anyway, my point is, none of the kids and I got it. Thankfully, we all tested negative. We were good to go. And then we came back, and he was better by then. And he was still kind of tired, but, he'd tested negative already, and we were all good to go. And then, I already got all the wood that I needed.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I was just going to lose this fish. Almost lost the fish.
So then, anyway, after that, oh God, it was 1,000 pieces of wood? Holy moly, that's a lot of wood. Okay.
Which wood do we have?
I don't know.
How much?
Somebody needs 1,000 pieces of wood for a quest.
Uh-oh.
And
okay.
I thought that it said 100 and it said 1,000, so I'm going to be here for a while. But anyway, so then after that, we were good to go again. And then it was actually, like a week after I got back from vacation when everything happened with my ex-husband, and he was gone, and that was it. And supposedly he got COVID again later on, but I don't know how much of what he says is true, so I genuinely don't know if he did or not. But he did tell the kids that he had COVID and that he was, living in his truck and the whole sob story.
Yeah. Totally could have just been like a guilt trip.
Yeah, exactly, because that was when he was still trying really hard to get us to let him come back home. And so anyway, in January of 2022, all of a sudden, Lucas got really sick. It's always Lucas, I swear. And he ended up with a super high fever. It was like almost 104 degrees. Like, it was really high. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's high. And but then the next day, literally the next day, because I gave him medicine, and luckily, because when he was really young, he's always gotten like kind of really high fevers like that, but when he was really young, he would not take medicine, and it was the most stressful thing ever. And now that he had just turned 11 years old, so I literally just had to say to him, listen, this fever is getting to be dangerous level. You either take this medicine here, or I take you to the ER where they help me get it down. Like, you have no other choice. It's too high.
Yeah.
And so he, of course, agreed and, took the Tylenol. And the next day he was tired, but other than that, perfectly fine. And then I started not feeling well. Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so obviously my first thought is going to be, okay, this could be the flu, but it could also be COVID. So I, just called CVS and went and got a test. And sure enough, like a day and a half later, I get the result, positive for COVID. So obviously I know that that's what Lucas has as well. I had called the school. I think he came down with the fever on a Friday. So I think that like I got the test results on like a Sunday. And I called his school and let them know, that he had COVID and that he obviously would not be in school until we were better again, or until the health department cleared us. But the crazy thing is with me, it was me, Lucas, and then my middle child that all got COVID. We were the only ones in the house who got, well, Matthew was the only one left, but Matthew was surprisingly, I think it was because the night before Lucas came down sick, which I'm assuming he got it at school because I know that there were 2 kids in his class who had COVID.
Right.
And Matthew, thankfully, the night before, left to go to his uncle's house for a week with his dad. So he is the only one in the family who didn't get sick. Now with Lucas, he, like I said, he had that fever. And then after that, he was just tired. He didn't play the Xbox at all, which, if you know Lucas, he pretty much is always playing his Xbox. So
Yeah, that's how I know that my kids are really sick too, is when they don't want
exactly.
screens.
Yeah, he did not want anything to do with anything except for just laying in bed. And this was for probably 10 days. He was this exhausted. Well, with
Yeah.
me, I had a really high fever. Again, I was around 104 as well. I had a headache. Like I get migraines, but this was a migraine that literally nothing would do anything for 2 days. And then after that, for the next week and a half, I was just exhausted. But when I say exhausted, I don't mean like, because I mean, I'm used to being exhausted. I'm a mother of 3 children. I work.
You babysit everybody's
yeah,
children.
exactly. To me, being tired is not anything new or unusual. But this was the kind of tired where I genuinely could not even like walk from my couch where I was sleeping to my bathroom without having to take breaks because I was so tired. Like, stupid tired. And so, and then Salem, same thing. Salem had a fever, took medicine, and then after that was just exhausted. And
Yeah.
I feel like we got really lucky with that because we didn't get the really bad cough. We didn't get any kind of breathing issues. If we hadn't tested positive for COVID, I would have thought that it was the flu. But instead we got,
I'm trying to go to bed, by the way. I just can't get into my house.
That's fine. But instead we just got severe exhaustion. And then since then, we have not had, that was it. That was the only time that we got
My
sick.
God.
Matthew actually got pretty sick, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and he ended up testing for COVID, but it was not COVID. I think it was just really bad allergies, but
Man,
yeah,
damn. Those are
that's
some
it.
intense allergies if they were mistaken for COVID.
Well, no, it wasn't anything like, he's never had it, so he didn't know what it felt like. It wasn't
Oh.
anything like what the kids and I
This is
felt.
insane. I can't get in my house, and I'm really upset about this.
Are you like not by the door, or is your
No,
button
I'm
not
by the
working?
door. I'm by the door. It's just sometimes my like get into the doorness, like my and my X just does not work.
Oh, that's
I
so
don't.
annoying.
Oh my god, there we go. Finally.
Um, but yeah, so he just didn't know what it felt like. He thought that it was just like a more aggressive cold or allergies or whatever. So that's why
Gotcha.
he was kind of confused by that. But yeah, so that was our personal experiences with COVID. And then I
Hmm.
do know quite a few people who died from COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then some
Which is
people who just died during COVID, and that was terrible.
yeah.
And COVID funerals were terrible.
Well, it's awful because like if somebody died during COVID, it's like you couldn't have a funeral for them, and that's
Exactly.
awful.
Well, we had one for Randy. There was a funeral for Randy. We just had to social
Oh, that's
distance
good.
and wear
Yeah,
masks and all
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how about your experience with COVID?
Okay. Well, so same thing as you. When it very first, okay, actually, not even when it very first started. So, a little background here. COVID, the first known cases of COVID were in the Bay Area of California. And they believe that somebody had traveled with it to the Bay Area, and they actually, the first known victims, like to have died from COVID, like they found out later, like um, what's the word? Like got their bodies out, and tested them to see, and
Oh,
found out
exhumed
that
them?
exhumed them, yes, and found out that they had died from COVID, but they didn't know at the time. That that's what it was. But so the first known people to have died from COVID were in the Bay Area, and that's where they think it originated. So I have to wait to get my pickaxe until 9. So we lived in the mountains of California, and we lived on the busiest route from anywhere to Tahoe. Like there are two main ways to get to Lake Tahoe. And the one that we lived on is like the main way to get to Lake Tahoe. And everybody goes to Tahoe on the weekends and especially in the winter, to like go skiing and stuff. So, and our city that we lived in was the last city, like the last stop, the last place you could like stop and do anything basically, before getting to Tahoe. Oh, whoopsie. So, in other words, we just had a lot of people coming through the town that we lived in to get to Tahoe from the Bay Area. And right around the time, like during winter, when COVID was first known to be in the Bay Area, people were coming through our city all the time. So, I think obviously it's possible that it was spread from there to there. Um, and okay, so my whole family got sick. It was January? No, it might have been January of 20. Yeah, it was January of 2020. Um, my whole family got sick, and like the kids didn't feel good for a few days. Like they definitely, like they got high fevers and, were pretty miserable for a few days. And then, at the chicken. And then my husband got kind of sick, but not anything like his was more just like he had a cough and he had like kind of a headache and a slight fever, but it wasn't like anything too bad, like he could still function. Me, on the other hand, I could not get out of bed for a week. I felt horrible. I had a high fever, but the worst part is I could not breathe. Like I had that tight chest feeling, a cough like I've never had before in my life. I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, and I remember telling him specifically, like, I've never felt anything like this before. I've never had this much trouble breathing. Like, I've never had a cough like this. I've never struggled to breathe like this. I don't, like, holy shit. In my mind, it was just like, this is a really, really intense flu. But then I got tested for the flu. Like because like my breathing was becoming so like labored that I was like, okay, I need to I was hoping I could get like breathing treatments or something. But they tested me for the flu and I didn't have the flu. So I was just like, okay, like what the hell? Um, so they gave me a few breathing treatments and then they sent me home and I was just in bed for another week, completely exhausted. My fever went away, my breathing got a little bit better, but like literally since then, I have not been able to like when I take a deep breath. Oh, that's so wiggly. Callie has a loose tooth. She's very excited about it.
Aw.
She just came to show me how much it was wiggling. But I like even now I can't like I can't inhale as well as I used to be able to before all of this. And I used to be like really proud of how long I could hold my breath because I was like, I've never been a smoker, that kind of thing. And now I can't hold my breath as well as I used to be able to. And it's like, and I still, even now, think that I had COVID at the time and I just didn't know it because, we weren't, like, it wasn't being talked about yet. Like, it wasn't really a thing yet.
It wasn't widespread.
Yeah, and so, I think that because of it being in the Bay Area, before anybody really knew about it, and people traveling through, stopping in my little small town, like, it's a small town, with it, it's very possible that we could have caught it,
Yep.
And so...
Yeah, because that early on, nobody was even being advised to stay home or anything.
Yeah, nope.
Like, literally a week before lockdown and everything, that's when we went to this zoo thing. Like, we weren't even...
Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody had any idea. So I'm pretty sure that that's what we had. And then, I don't think that we've gotten it since. Like, I haven't been sick, knock on wood. But, like, the kids have been sick. But the kids have this habit of getting sick every time we move. I'm not sure if it's, like, the change of environment or what it is. But they end up sick every time we move. But Callie, actually, when we lived with a roommate, like when we first moved in with this roommate that we lived with, which I should tell a story about that someday.
Yeah,
But we did Callie got like sick. Like none of the rest of us got sick, but Callie got sick to the point where like she was crying because the blinds were open and the sun was hurting her eyes. And like,
I remember that.
And like
because...
it wasn't even bright outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was scaring, like small noises. I was scared she had like meningitis.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember that because the reason that we immediately jumped to meningitis is because our sister Tracy had meningitis when she was in first grade and literally almost died from it. And so immediately, like,
and that was
we freak out about the thought of meningitis.
We really do. But like that's what Mom has always told us was her hint that she had to go to the hospital right now was that my sister was sleeping in their bedroom, and we had this heater, like this wall heater, that would make like a little tiny like click 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 noise right before turning on.
Yeah.
Nothing loud at all. Like really 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 quiet.
Yeah,
but
you
she
wouldn't
said that
even
it was
normally hear it.
Yeah, but she said that it was so loud and it was hurting her head, like it was making her head pound. And my mom was like,
"Yeah, that's..." and crying because the heater hurt her head. The heater.
Yeah, the tiny click of the heater hurt her head.
Yeah, and our mother was like, okay, this is more serious than I thought."
Yeah.
And like literally, when they brought her to the hospital, they had us stay at our aunt's house. And years later, my mother told us that the doctor had warned them that she probably wouldn't survive through the night because she was so bad. And
that's so horrifying.
Thank goodness she did, but she was in the hospital for a while.
Yeah, man. Ugh. Mom's had some scary experiences with her children.
No, seriously.
But like. Yeah, but you know what? Actually, Callie did get tested for COVID. Callie's the only one of us that has gotten tested for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't during that time. we were going to take her actually if it lasted more than like 24 hours, but it didn't. And she ended up like, perfectly fine. So we were like, okay, we'll calm down. But we, it was like right after, or like right after lockdown started, and she wasn't feeling good, and she had a really high fever, and she was the only one of us that got sick. She gets sick more and more intensely than any of the rest of us. It scares me so much. I hate it. But she was really sick, so we, took her to one of like the drive-through. Or no, it wasn't one of the drive-through ones. We took her to the ER, but they wouldn't let her in. They had to go into the parking lot to test her. That's what it was. So they just like opened up her side door and just like shoved the thing up her nose, and then just like left, and was like, we'll call you. So, but she didn't have COVID.
Yeah, which thank goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean that's and like you said, I don't know a lot of people, but I know people who died from COVID. And it was just horrible. Like, not even, and that's the thing too, is like not even unhealthy people.
Right. Yeah, like that's the crazy thing. Like a guy that I went to school, well, actually, it's a girl that I went to school with, her husband, but the guy was a grade above me,
Yeah.
died from COVID, and his wife also had COVID, and she survived.
Yeah. Well, and like,
And it's just,
it's nuts because I know people who are way like mom. Mom had COVID.
oh yeah.
And mom is not super healthy.
Our mother, I was shocked, quite frankly,
Yeah.
that our mother handled COVID as well as she did, because when I found out that she had COVID, she got it in February of 2021, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
And
I believe so.
I was genuinely concerned.
I was so scared.
Oh yeah, you were way more concerned because you couldn't just run to her house and check on her.
Yeah. Well, because our mom has been a smoker for how long?
Oh, forever. I mean, she is in her 60s and she has smoked since she was a teenager. So,
Yeah, like almost 50
probably
years.
like, yeah, I was going to say probably like 45 years at least.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me about that is our mother got COVID, and I regularly called in. She didn't want us to come over, obviously, because she didn't want us to. I took care of a 91-year-old man. I also took care of 2 small children. My mom did not want us coming over there and checking up on her when she was sick.
Right.
And so we didn't like run to her house or anything, but she, we regularly would call her and check on her. And I remember her telling us that she was surprised that her boyfriend that lives with her didn't also get COVID.
Yeah.
She was basically
we're going to the mines, right?
No, actually, we're not going to.
Oh, okay.
My pickaxe is ready now, but I want us to do the night market tonight, so I don't want to do the mines yet.
Oh, okay.
Will you take care of the chicken? I'm gonna go get my pickaxe.
No eggs.
But anyway, so my mother's boyfriend supposedly did not get COVID. But I actually question that now, because then in July, or was it July or was it June?
It was July.
Okay, July of last year. So, a year ago, like, gosh, that's crazy that was a year ago.
Yeah, that was a year ago.
A year ago, all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, he collapsed. And an ambulance had to be called. And
I literally was convinced he was about to die.
100% sure. He was in the hospital for months. And then he was in a rehab center because he had to be intubated. And as soon as we found out he had to be intubated, I thought that was it.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, he pulled through, but he is on oxygen. He's home now, but he was in a rehab facility for months. He
literally just got home, like, what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah. And he is on oxygen, And he did have a trachea. Like, they actually tried to remove it and couldn't at first. And they thought that he wasn't going to, they thought they were going to send him home with it. And thankfully they didn't have to. But I can't help wondering if maybe he didn't actually get COVID and just didn't get a severe case, but then because he had a collapsed lung.
Yeah, it could have affected his lungs.
Yeah, because that's what happened when he collapsed, is he had a collapsed lung.
No, I'm saying COVID could have affected his lungs.
No, I'm saying to the people watching the video, because I just said he collapsed, and
oh yeah.
You know why, but I never said it out loud.
That's true.
But yeah, it had turned out that he had a collapsed lung, and I mean, maybe it was just because he was overweight and a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker, and just he had neck surgery, and his lifestyle, he went from doing construction and riding his bike everywhere all the time to basically not being able to really even walk because of his surgery.
Yeah.
So maybe it was that situation, like maybe it just had something to do with that, but it also could have been
it could have been COVID that damaged his lungs.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted because I was accepting a quest, trying to.
It could have been a mixture of all of it, honestly.
Yeah, so I genuinely don't know if Ed ever got COVID or not for real, but I do suspect that could have been the situation, since during the time when our mother was sick, she said that he was okay, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that he was
okay.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, well, and I remember you saying, and it really wasn't long after Mom got COVID that people started talking about how he was turning gray.
Yeah, yep. Well, and I mean, that might not have been COVID. Maybe he just was sick for a long time and just didn't realize.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that was not long, that his oxygen started to become an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So he very well could have, had COVID and just had a mild case, but it still affected his lungs, and we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And because it was a pandemic, and because of my mother's age, and because of Ed's health, we really did not see my mom. We didn't really get together for holidays. We didn't go over there because there was so many different people that could have been affected health-wise. So we basically all avoided each other. So we genuinely really, our one sister did go there a bit more often, just because she's Tracy, so.
Yeah, she really is. She wasn't cautious, really.
At all, yeah.
No. She's kind of not Republican, to be honest.
Yeah, she kind of is.
I tell her that all the time. I'm like, you're you're the most Republican leftist, left-wing person I've ever met.
Yeah, I don't even know if she considers herself left-wing, honestly.
Well, socially, I don't know.
All of her friends and all the people she hangs out with are Trump supporters, and just
yeah,
terrible.
I know. I hate it a lot.
But anyway, sorry for veering off the subject. Anyway, the point here is, I genuinely don't know, with Ed, what exactly happened, because we were not around. Like I said, tomorrow we'll get way more into lockdown and everything that happened at that point. But for COVID specifically, yeah, that was I guess that was
pretty much it.
Yeah, that was our experiences. Here's my question: were your kids aware of COVID, and were they at all nervous or scared about it?
They were aware of it, because they were how come? Because normally we'd go out and do things and
right
go out to restaurants sometimes and stuff. So they were hey, how come we're not doing this anymore? But so we explained it to them and everything. But they weren't really too worried about it, mostly because we don't really see people.
Right, yeah, so it wasn't that huge of a
don't
shock for them.
Yeah, like they didn't stress about it too much, because we didn't like make it like a crazy scary thing. We were just like, hey, like we gotta be careful because public safety and health and all that stuff. It's just it's not good for some people, and it can be really dangerous for some people, and we have to protect those people. Like just trying to paint it as like a not super scary, but like we do have to be cautious kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then. But then also like I said, I homeschool, and we don't really have a lot of friends or family around here anyway. Um, so yeah, it just wasn't really like a big change for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Were your kids like freaked out about it? Like, did
Um,
they?
oh, whatever, you're so rude. My kids were really not super scared about it. They, at first, it was like, woohoo, we don't have to go to school, this is great.
Yeah, like
Um,
woohoo, a small vacation for a couple weeks.
well, and especially because originally, when everything first started happening, um, Lucas and I, like I said, we were down with the flu. Well, actually, Lucas was down with the flu. I got it the following week. But the way it happened to work out is Lucas was set to be able to go back to school, like via his doctor.
Hmm.
Um, oh, the night market's open if you want to go.
Where is it?
It's down at the beach. It's on the docks.
Like near
Um,
our house?
no, like the actual beach.
Oh,
But Lucas was set to be able to go back to school on Monday, March. What would have been
I meant by our house, by the way, like
16th?
underneath it.
Um, 16th, I guess it would have been. And
Okay.
Friday the 13th was the day that they announced that they were locking down basically the entire country.
Yeah.
And so it was meant to start spring break a week early. And the kids were just going to get through spring break and come back to school. And as you all know, that did not happen. We did not go back to school again until, well, for my kids, until this year. Or I guess,
Well, for Lucas.
yeah, this past school year. But so that, so they knew that it was a like a little, I guess, mini vacation for them. But at the same time, they didn't really watch the news. I kind of struggled to, like, obviously I watched the news enough to understand what was happening, but oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to do that because it costs $1,000.
I'm not even. I'm having trouble finding this night market.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. This night market's too expensive for us right now. We'll come back to it in a different time.
Okay.
But anyway, so so tomorrow we can just go straight to mining. I just want to get the last few pieces of wood that I need for this quest.
We might actually have time to talk about lockdown, by the way.
Oh, really?
And it's only 8:30.
Oh, that's right. You're in a different time zone.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I guess once we go to bed we can wrap up our talk of COVID, and then we can move on to lockdown.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
But when it came to like stuff on the news, my kids really didn't watch it. And like I didn't realize how nervous they were about it. Like, they were nervous about it. I didn't realize how nervous they were about it until the vaccine came out, and they were like on me instantly, begging me to let them get it. And like Salem right away was like, "We need this vaccine. Let's get it." And so we went together and got it, and that was a big to do with my ex-husband. Oh my gosh, you guys should have seen the names he called me. A slimy snake. Like, this man was so angry that, and like, I didn't even think twice about like getting my kid the vaccine. We were in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, yes. I needed to get it. Like, he has never been against vaccinations. Every single one of our children is fully vaccinated. Like, it never would have even crossed my mind that this man was
Did he also call it the jab?
He did.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know you were
Just
joking,
parrot.
but he did.
Oh man, that's how you know
Um,
that they're just parroting,
yeah,
Facebook conspiracies.
exactly. But and then when it was time for it for Lucas, once he hit the age that he could do it, um, it's funny because his father had told him, "Oh, you can go ahead and get it," because he was already out of the house at this point. And he was like, he texted Lucas and told him, "Oh, I saw that it's available. You can get it." And yeah, I had sold physical and legal custody. He was getting it anyway, but um, Lucas was like on me. Like he was. We actually had gotten. I think we had gotten the flu. Um, prior to this, so I was like holding, obviously I had to hold off a little bit, before and this child was on me the second he felt better, make the appointment, like he wanted this vaccine so badly.
Hey, wait, that's me.
Yes, you are the one that I'm talking about.
Real.
He was like, "Oh, hey, I'm Lucas."
Yeah. Yeah, but so that's when I realized
I'll put it with that.
a little more of the effect, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like they weren't freaking out about it, but they definitely took it seriously, kind of thing.
yes, exactly. All right, I'm going to bed. I'm so annoyed right now.
All
I
right.
just spent all that time doing that, and my quest was already over.
Oh no.
It was like, what, 5 years old enough or something? And immediately, I was like,
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, but yeah, so we can go to bed. We can end this one here,
We can talk about lockdown.
and then we'll talk about lockdown. All right, so I'm
Yep.
gonna end my video real quick, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for watching. This was our video on our personal experiences with COVID. Why did she just gasp like that? But thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. I can turn on that fan. It's too loud. Let me know what your experiences were, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.